Dear students, I have come with the module 12.2 where we are going to learn errors disclosed and not disclosed by trial balance. If you remember last module, we have learned errors in accounting. Even if the trial balance will tally, there are possibilities that some errors will be there. And we have learned the type of errors and we have learned the suspense account. So in this module, I am going to give one problem and I am going to solve that also. I will not say that whether it's debit account or credit account. We have to distinguish between debit account and credit account and we have to complete the trial balance. That's also we are going to do in this module. So first one is, what is the impact of errors on trial balance? See, if there are errors, you have to remember that some errors will affect the tallying of the trial balance. Some will not affect the tallying of the trial balance. In short, on the basis of the effect of errors on the agreement of the trial balance, errors in accounting we are classifying into two. The first one is called one-sided errors or errors disclosed by the trial balance or errors which affect the agreement of the trial balance. See, one-sided error meaning only one aspect of the transaction is recorded. That meaning automatically trial balance will not agree. That is why it is called one-sided error. Whereas two-sided errors, second classification, or errors not disclosed by trial balance. Both the aspects are recorded, but some mistake is committed in recording the transaction. So two-sided errors, it's very difficult to detect that errors because it will not be disclosed in the trial balance. So next is we are going to explain one-sided errors. So one-sided errors, how one-sided error will happen, I am going to explain. So items posted to wrong side of an account. So the first example if you take, if an item is posted to the wrong side of an account. For example, if cash is received from one customer, Mr. Satish, what will be the journal entry? Cash account debted to Satish's account. But this mistake what they have done in this transaction is, while posting this entry in the ledger, in one side is posted wrongly. That meaning instead of cash account, whatever the cash received, say for example, if cash is received 1000 from Satish, cash aspect is not recorded. Only Satish's account, the 1000 rupees is recorded. So one aspect, so the cash book will not tally, or the cash book will be wrong. So then it will affect the trial balance. So this is the first point, one-sided error. The transaction, only one aspect of the transaction is recorded in the ledger. One aspect is completely forgot to enter in the ledger. Second one is posting a wrong figure. So posting a wrong figure meaning, if imagine the amount is 910, but we are writing it as 190. It's an oversight. So 190 is recorded, then it's a one-sided error. Next is, see, balance extracted but posted on the wrong side of the account. Say for example, bank overdraft, you know that it should be a credit balance, but we have recorded it as a debit balance. You know that cash will be a debit balance, but overdraft also we are thinking that it will be a debit balance. Actually, bank overdraft is a credit balance. So that is wrongly we are taking the bank overdraft as a debit balance. Next is errors in additions. See, sometimes overcasting or undercasting. Overcasting is if the amount is 100, we are writing a value higher than 100. If it's undercasting meaning if the value is 100, you are writing a less value than 100. So that is the errors in additions with under or overcast in the subsidiary books. If overcasting meaning if the value is 100, you are writing it as 110. Undercasting meaning if the value is 100, you are writing it as 10. So that may be also maybe with the oversight. Then mistakes in carry forward totals of subsidiary books from one page to another. You know that subsidiary books, it will be many pages. So when you are carrying forward from one page, closing balance, you have to take it to the next page as opening balance. So when you are transferring this entry, you are making a mistake. Next is mistakes in balancing the account. The total when you are taking the total of the account, its total value is taken as a different value or a wrong value. Next is mistakes in totaling the trial balance. When you are tallying the trial balance, then also you made a mistake. Or mistake in balancing the ledger accounts. Balancing the ledger accounts, you made a mistake. Then omitting one ledger account balance in the trial balance. You forgot to write cash or you forgot to write purchases. Then also trial balance will not tally. Next is closing balance of ledger accounts is not carried forward to the next year. So you have to remember that I told you closing balance, when we close the ledger account, we will carry it as the opening balance for the next term. If it's we are closing the account on the end of the month, meaning next month beginning, it will be the opening balance. So there you are making a mistake. So these are the one-sided errors. Now, two-sided errors, you have to remember that errors of complete omission. You are not recording one transaction at all. Purchases transaction or sales transaction, one transaction you have completely omitted from the books of accounts. Second is errors of commission. What is error of commission? It's recorded, but you recorded it in a wrong way. See, for example, cash sales for 1000. You entered it as cash sales for 100. It's an error of commission. Next is compensating or offsetting errors. That is, last module I have explained all these errors. A's account has to be debited with 100, but you are crediting 100. Whereas B's account has to be credited with 100. You are debiting with 100. That meaning this error is compensated. That is why offsetting or compensating errors. Next is error of duplication. One error is entered twice in the books of accounts. Machinery purchased. Twice you recorded. Only one machinery is purchased, but you are recording it twice. Or you are entering it twice. Next is error of principle. Last module I have explained you made some repair for the machinery. That is actually a revenue expenditure, but you are adding with the cost of the machinery. So machinery value is changed or machinery value is wrong, and the profit disclosed by the profit and loss account is also wrong. So these are the two-sided errors. So now we learn what is one-sided error and second one is two-sided errors. And the situation under which where you can get one-sided error and you can get two-sided errors. Now the next question is, you know that there are errors. Now how you are locating that? So the first point you have to remember that if the trial balance does not agree, it's an indication that some error or errors might have happened in the books of accounts. So trial balance will not tally. So whenever we will write the accounting exam also, I remember that. First thing we will check that whether trial balance will tally. Then so far the accounting, whatever entries we have posted will be correct. Then only we have to think about the final accounts. So then you have to check that where you have made the mistake. If it's not tallying, you have to check where you made the mistake. So the first thing is you will start with the journal. So you will check the journal entries, you will check the subsidiary books, you will check the various ledger postings, additions and subtractions in the accounts, what you have done, you will check again. Listing the items in the trial balance. All the accounts are included in the trial balance or not, you will check. Then totaling the item. Totaling the amount in trial balance, all this you will check that, because this is the first step, your own effort to check that whether trial balance can be tallied. Now, procedure for locating errors. So you have to remember that how you will do the procedure. So first step is, see all the ledger accounts are balanced correctly and brought forward to the trial balance at the appropriate side. See, I told you we are going to do one problem where I have not disclosed whether cash is a debit balance or credit balance. You should know that. So that is the idea. You will see that where all the ledger accounts are brought to the trial balance at the appropriate debit balance and appropriate credit balance. Now add and recheck the items on both sides of the trial balance. So again we are checking, adding again, rechecking again, whatever the totaling we have done. Third is check whether all the account balances are recorded in the trial balance. This point we are giving again and again. By mistake, if you have not posted one ledger account in the trial balance, then also it can go mistake. Then check the journal entries and related postings in the ledger accounts. Journal posting to ledger, all that we will check. We are trying our level best to tally this. Next is checking the totaling, that is casting. Casting meaning totaling. Subcasting meaning subtotaling. Carry forward in the books of accounts. All this we are checking. Minute steps, however, it's possible from our side to tally the trial balance. Now check subsidiary books totaling and postings to ledger accounts. So this again this procedure we are repeating. Then in all these steps, if they fail to locate the error or errors, then the difference in the trial balance will be temporarily transferred to suspense account. So all our efforts we are trying. Again, if there is a difference, we cannot wait for the error to be rectified because we have to prepare the final accounts. Final accounts have to be prepared on time. So temporarily, if we are not able to locate the error and to make the trial balance tally, we will transfer this difference to suspense account. So I told you last module, what is suspense account? We have learned that already. So suspense account is also called difference in the books of account or difference in trial balance account. Debit side is cost by 300 or credit side is cost by 3000. We will come to know that how we are adjusting the suspense account. Now I am going to explain the importance of suspense account. Always remember that suspense account is only a temporary account. It's not going to be a permanent thing. Till you will rectify the error, we will keep the suspense account. Next is used to place the difference in the trial balance. I told you all our efforts to tally the trial balance is not completed or fulfilled, or it's not possible from our effort. So we are seeing a difference in the credit side or the debit side. That difference we will transfer it to suspense account. Now this account is wiped off when error is located or rectified. So whenever the error we will locate, we will continue with our exercise to trace the error. So once the error is located, we will close the suspense account. So suspense account balance will be placed on that trial side of the trial balance, which is found to be lesser in order to make the trial balance agree. That's what I told you. If the debit side is short by 3000 and credit side is correct. So what we will do? This shortage we will put it in the debit side. Then we will make the trial balance tally. Next is, if the debit side, I am going to explain that again. If the debit side of the trial balance is less than the credit side by rupees 3000, then in the suspense account, the difference is recorded as to difference in the trial balance 3000. Remember that suspense account is also like a ledger account. Its debit side is short by 3000. So we are writing in the debit side of the suspense account to difference in trial balance 3000. So this is recorded on the debit side of the trial balance, and I have explained and I have given the suspense account also. Next is, this temporary adjustment will help in preparing the final accounts on time. We cannot wait for the error to be rectified because we have to submit the final accounts on time. Then suspense account will come to the balance sheet also. So that is how I am going to explain. If suspense account has a debit balance, then it will appear in the asset side. If suspense account is having a credit balance, it will appear on the liability side. So if suspense account is having a credit balance, then it will appear in the liability side of the balance sheet. If it's a debit shortage, meaning it will appear in the asset side of the balance sheet. Now the problem I am going to explain, I told you I am not going to tell you which is a debit account or which is a credit balance. You have to identify and you have to prepare the trial balance. So I have worked out the problem. So I am giving capital. I am giving just the account balances. From the following balances of Mr. Ashok, prepare a trial balance as on 31/12/2020. Capital 65,000, drawing 6,000, purchases 57,822. Opening stock 38,122. Sundry creditors 13,579. Bills payable 15,000. Fixtures and fittings 1,250. Carriage on purchases 577. General expenses 6,232. Returns inwards 1,606. Bank charges 1,307. Postage and stationery 572. Carriage on sales 1,923. Discount allowed 3,166. Discount received 82. Cash at bank 1,226. Cash in hand 120. Bills receivable 11,550. Wages 31,758. Salaries 6,433. Bank loan 17,500. Freehold premises 30,000. Sundry debtors 31,071. Sales 1,19,574. Now we are going to do this problem. Trial balance as on 31/10/2020 of Mr. Ashok. So capital account is a credit balance. We will write it in the credit side of the trial balance. Trial balance format, you know that serial number, particulars, debit and credit. So capital will be a credit balance 65,000. Drawings account is a debit balance 6,000. Purchases account debit balance 57,822. Sales account is a credit balance 1,19,574. Stock is a debit balance 38,122. Sundry creditors, it's a credit balance 13,579. Bills payable credit balance 15,000. Fixtures and fittings 1250. It's an asset. It's a debit balance. Carriage on purchases. It's a debit balance 577. General expenses debit balance 6232. Wages debit balance 31,758. Salaries debit balance 6,433. Bank loan is a credit balance 17,500. Freehold premises, it's an asset 30,000 debit balance. Sundry debtors, it's an asset debit balance 31,071. Returns inwards debit balance 1,606. Bank charges, it's debit 1,307. Postage and stationery 572. Carriage on sales 1,923. It's debit. Discount allowed 3,166. It's debit. Discount received is credit balance 82. Cash at bank is debit 1,226. Cash in hand 120 debit balance. Bills receivable 11,550. Now total of the trial balance is 2,30,735. This is how we will tally the trial balance. So this is what I want to share with this module. I hope it's clear what are one-sided errors and two-sided errors. It's very important that you have to do the additional problems given in the description box. This is for your practice and you have to give me a valuable feedback and suggestions. Please promote and subscribe my channel, and happy learning with Dr. Alice Mani. Thank you.